All right, so I want to talk to you guys about something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, the Optimus robot, the new Tesla robot, and that's the communication. How are you going to be able to communicate with the robot, and how is the robot going to be able to communicate with other devices, other things, people? Now, from my experience and my expert knowledge in industrial automation and the way things communicate in the manufacturing sector, digitally, this was actually going to be a very simple task, right? You just need to have some type of communication protocol, Ethernet IP. As long as Tesla was to provide the setup, you can connect the Tesla robot via Wi-Fi to like an Allen Bradley PLC fairly easily, right? It'd be the same as adding like one of these other robots. It'd be the same as adding like a Keyence camera, and there's not a lot of complexity really there. Now, the next challenge is how do you as a human communicate with it, right? How do you teach this robot what to do? And how does it communicate back to you that it understands, right? Do you have some user interface where you're able to program it to some degree? As you've seen in some of the footage, or there's a guy that has some type of like gloves on, and I'm assuming what that is those are actually inputs, right? So there's a point cloud of data. So as this human is manipulating its fingers, that data is being transferred to the robot. So as you've seen with the egg that the robot picked up with 2 eggs, right? And people think this is just AI. I don't really think it's just the AI. I think that a human taught it with the gloves, right? This is how you pick up the egg, right? And the human picked up the egg with 2 fingers, so therefore the robot knew to actuate these 2 fingers to pick up the egg. Now that's not that bad. Like, we have to train the robot an operation by doing the operation one time and wearing some type of glove type system. That's okay, right? So you can teach it something like that. You can confirm it, press the teach button that says you're going to start the teaching process, do the teaching process with your gloves on. Maybe you have like some goggles on as well that are like an AR type of thing, so that way you're seeing what the robot would see in that environment. And then you have a done teaching type of button, right? And then from there, the robot takes that information, compiles it as a data set for it to execute some type of work. Now, you have to also tell it to start that task, to stop that task. What if you have multiple tasks and you wanted to do different tasks, right? Going back to the PLC version of that, right? You can easily have a PLC command, hey, do this task, or hey, do that task. Or let's just take this to in-home, because a lot of people that are watching this at home and not necessarily in the manufacturing space. So for in the home environment, maybe you have some smart device that's like a washer, dryer, coffee pot, refrigerator, all these different devices that have smart functionality. Maybe they can get some type of output signal from them saying laundry done, right? So that's also still a somewhat simple thing to do. But the part that is being left out is how do you do that in the Tesla interface? How does the robot itself understand what to prioritize, what to do, right? Maybe you don't want the robot to do your laundry, or maybe in the beginning stages it doesn't have the capability to do certain things like laundry. Maybe laundry is just too complicated for it, or maybe it's picking up the coffee pot. I'm just throwing out some different examples. Like, let's say folding laundry, right? How are you going to tell it to fold your laundry? Is as soon as it's done with the dryer, is it automatically going to fold it? How are you going to tell it to put it in your closet versus your kids' closet? You know, how are you going to tell it whether you want to fold it or hang it, right? So, like, is Tesla going to give us a user interface where we have the ability to, like, drag and drop some different options? Is there going to be more of a traditional type of programming, like maybe a function block type of programming, where you can do, like, some drag and drop type of programming? It's very easy that most people are able to do. Or is Tesla going to really try to tackle being able to vocally communicate with this thing? Now, I'll tell you, this is going to be very, very challenging for this to happen, and I think it's doable, right? But I'll give you a perfect example. Back at our shop, we have our shop lights set up on Google Home, and we say, hey, Google, turn on shop lights. To be honest, it works about 70% of the time. And a lot of the times we have to say it multiple times, or we've even written some extra commands, so that way if you say that command in turn shop lights on, turn on the shop lights, so saying those in different ways, Google actually struggles with like being able to determine what you want to do. You know, depending on the way that you say the command, like turn on shop lights or turn shop lights on, just the different wordings and the different ways that you go about phrasing that sentence, right, and the order you put the words makes a huge impact on how the Google Home performs and its capability to execute the action, right? So if Google, who's already doing voice things, is struggling with simple things like turning on the lights, then what's going to give Tesla such an advantage that they're going to be so far forward in voice above everybody else? Even if they partner with somebody like Google, Google's still struggling. You know, I don't personally use Alexa, but I'm sure Alexa also struggles in this. So with these cases, that means the robot's also going to struggle with this, and it's something that you don't want as a limiting factor, right? You don't want this robot to be able to execute and do all these cool things, but you can't do it because it can't locally understand what you're doing. So I highly predict that there's going to be some type of like user interface that gets added into this robot that is going to give it the ability to be controlled, let's say programmed or taught how to do things, right? That is going to be outside of voice. I do think they're going to implement voice at some point in time, 101%. And I think they may even implement voice sooner than later. However, I think there's going to be alternatives to voice only, just because I don't think the reliability is there with voice to be able to do voice commands to tell it to do things that you want it to do. Maybe they'll have things that work really well, like, hey Optimus, I want to teach you something. And then Optimus acknowledges, maybe its face, it does have an LED indicator, or it can verbally say, I do understand what you're saying. Because outputting audio is no problem, right? And it should be able to output audio that humans understand very easily. That's not a problem at all. It's understanding the human language that is going to be the challenge, right? So I'd definitely like to know your thoughts on how you think the robot will communicate with people, how we will interact with this robot, and how we will be able to train this robot. Put it down in the comments below. Check out our other Tesla robot videos and anything manufacturing and automation related that's here on our channel. Catch you on the next one.